Hey, everybody. Thank you and welcome back to the TMG Podcast. I'm TJ Norris over here. We got my man James.
How we doing?
And Mr. Mitchell Mullis.
Howdy.
Today, guys, we are covering the due diligence period in the TMG Guide to Homeownership, Part 6.
Part 6. Awesome. Been a long time getting here, but hey, we're rolling through it. I hope everybody's learned a little something about purchasing a home, the Guide to Homeownership. And, yeah, we're ready for today.
Yeah, so last time, guys, we talked about negotiations, finding out if there are multiple offers, speaking with the agent, and relaying that information back to our folks so we can give them everything they need to make it happen if they find the perfect home.
The best offer possible.
Yes.
So you can win homes in this market.
Absolutely.
You had a special guest last week, too, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Mr. Spencer.
Yeah, Spencer, he did a good job.
Spencer did a great job.
Gave us a little insight into what it's like to be an individual guy without a team.
Yeah.
He's knocking it out. He's doing a good job.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, let's get into the due diligence period.
I think we're missing something, right?
Yeah,
God.
Dude. Don't forget about my joke corner.
Yep, my bad.
Yep. So, in honor of today, this is how we all feel. Why could the bicycle not stand up on its own?
It's got to be something with a kickstand.
It's got to be.
It was too tired.
That was pretty good.
That's the way I feel
was
today.
pretty good.
I'm too tired.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Guys, hey, I got them all day long.
Touche. I got those two weeks in a row, and now I feel disappointed every time I don't get it.
I know.
I don't know, something's on my heart this morning, so I want to touch on just a little bit. I just want to tell everybody that I started coaching my girls' basketball team, my daughter's basketball team this year. First time as a girls' coach.
How old are they?
7 to 10. So she just turned 8. And I finished undefeated as a girls' coach this year, guys.
Good
so
job.
First time she didn't lose, and
Boom.
yeah,
Nice.
But most of all, I'm just self-reflecting last night. It's a total different ball game because it's my kid.
Yeah.
I've grew up coaching. I've coached since I was in 7th grade. Coaching kids, but it all changes when it's your kid, and it's just crazy to me. And I get more joy out of watching her play basketball.
Yeah.
Than anything I've ever did in my life. And watch her flourish, it's just a crazy thing, man.
That's awesome.
But I'm super proud of her. And I know James has got kids probably fixing to embark on sports and stuff like that. Just a different thing, man. And my heart's just busting full because, hey, she's pretty good.
That's awesome, Mitch.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
It is awesome.
Family is important, and it's good to have those things that really motivate you in life and make your heart full, honestly.
And it was sad that it was her last game. I said, hey, girl, let's find a summer team for you. She said, no.
Oh, boy.
Mitch was crying as he was handing out trophies, and she was like, Dad, stop.
Yeah. She's so good, though. She's tall like me. She's so good. She's athletic. She steals the ball. I mean, she's everywhere. She's playing girls a lot older than her, a lot bigger than her. You've seen her. She's big.
Yeah.
And these girls are twice her size, and she's just, like, dominating. And it's just, hey, I told her that's what we do. We show up and show out, girl.
Yeah. Hey, real quick. I'm sure I'll be asked at some point to coach my daughter in something. I've pretty much made a vow that I will not. Here's why. Just because of my coaching background. Not that sounds bad.
What does that mean?
No, it means
Wow.
No.
Hey,
It
what
means
you gonna
this.
do?
I think people kind of lean on me because I did coach for 10 years, multiple sports, and what kind of advice for me would you have, and James, if we were asked to coach our little girls, him a little boy?
Yeah.
And what kind of intensity did you take to it? Did you treat them any different? Because growing up we had a different style of intensity.
We did.
So
I think a lot of it goes from where Rodney coached me.
Okay.
And coaching with Rodney over the years and never having a son or a kid on the team. And, he would always separate the kids and the parents. He wouldn't ever let the parent coach the kid's position. And I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
You can be out there, but you don't need to be coaching your kid, because if you coach your kid, you're going to constantly coach them and them only.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now, me, was I a little harder on? I didn't really treat her different. I would jerk her out of the game. She's playing lazy. Look, you're gonna show up. We're gonna go to the bathroom, okay? If you don't get yourself together. So
TJ, yeah.
But I mean, here's the thing. Like I know basketball.
Yeah.
I played at a high level. I know football. You know, and I coach my stepson's team. I'm the head coach of the JV football team for High Point Christian, and the reason I do this because I don't want them learning from some old jackleg to teach them the wrong way.
Yeah.
Some old jackleg.
I had this question posed to me once in a nice letter. Have you gone to coaching clinics? Do you know what a coaching clinic is?
TJ, how bad was your record?
Are you trying to get better?
How bad was your record, TJ?
I mean, the record wasn't great. Okay.
How good were your players? I mean, you can only do what you can do.
I had good players.
Yeah.
Wow, James, way to throw a loaded question.
Yeah. No.
Well, they sucked. You know, I know they're listening right now and possibly clients of mine, but
that's not true.
They
That's
were
not true.
awful.
That's not true at all. Here's one thing that I will say about coaching and everything. When I see these guys out, and also they text me all the time. Yep. They ask me life questions. That's really why I was coaching.
That's what coaching's about.
Yeah.
Well, it's full circle. It's full circle. You guys like literally talk about Matt Jacobs right down the road.
Yeah.
I mean, his store is 50 yards from where we're standing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Coach Ridge was in the JUCO National Championship.
But you guys still refer to them, is what I'm getting at. You guys still refer to them, even though they haven't been necessarily coaches in your life for the last at least decade, if not closer to 2 decades.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're now paying it forward, doing the same thing for those guys, and they still count on you, just like you still count on Matt to be there to bounce questions off of and things like that. So it's cool to see you guys paying it forward.
Only a few people will remember our records. When I was there. Yeah. What they're going to remember is the impact that hopefully I had on them.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of what I was going towards with Mitch was, you know, we can be hard on them and hopefully they can learn life lessons.
And I mean, here's the thing: you don't want to overcoach your kid because parents get mad at you.
Yeah.
So you know, I had to take Kenzie out of the game a couple of times last night. Didn't want to, and she didn't want to come out, but you know, I didn't want parents mad at me, so. Gave her a little break. We won by 20. That was good.
Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad?
Throw a little dart there. We won by 20.
Coaches, we've got to do things. So
Well, I mean, just be fair. But I mean, at the end of the day,
life's fair.
At the end of the day,
yeah, right.
Sometimes I'm sure
that's just one thing I always try to. Life isn't fair, man.
But you know, to me, Rodney is my godfather. He's still my coach. You know, he's coached me my whole life, and that's why I go for advice. And we've coached his son Trey for years, and he said sometimes I just want to go up in the stands and be a daddy.
Yeah,
and I'm sure I'll get there with Kinsley eventually, as long as she keeps on progressing. I would love to just go up there and just be able to watch her.
You won't.
Yeah.
I won't.
No, you won't. No chance.
I ain't letting no jack leg in there. You know what I'm saying?
I know that guy. He's a jackleg. He ain't.
All right.
Hey man, give me a clipboard. Just give me.
So do you want to get to?
Let's talk about some due diligence.
There you go.
Yeah,
all right, James, lead us out, man. We hadn't heard from you this morning.
Yeah. Well, hey, you went into coach mode. I'm not in coach mode.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's cool. So, what is due diligence? A lot of people are going to ask you that. A lot of first-time homebuyers have no idea what I say, or what I mean when I say, hey, we got to talk about the due diligence period and due diligence money. And they're like, whoa, what is that?
What is that?
Exactly.
Is
so,
that
TJ,
French?
What is
French?
What is due diligence?
That is upfront money given to the sellers to allow you to do inspections, whether that's pest or home. It allows you really time to do whatever you want to at the house to make sure that everything's in check.
Yep.
And, I mean, it's pretty much just a down payment to the sellers to allow you that time.
Yeah. And does that take the home off the market so nobody else can come check it out?
That does. That is what due diligence period means. So if you see it on Zillow or if you use our app like you probably should, our Keller Williams app, it'll say due diligence period. That's what that means.
Yeah. How long does that period last, Mitch?
What are you, like the question asker? I mean, Lord God,
Mr. Facilitator.
Mr. Facilitator.
I kind of like it. I feel like you should run some more things.
Yeah.
So I'll back up and say this. I always describe it like this. Due diligence. What due diligence is. It's basically a security deposit. Okay, and it's going to buy you a time period, James. You ask how much? Well, everything's negotiable. This number is going to be negotiable. The timeline, the length of time you get for due diligence is going to be negotiable. And here's the biggest thing: is this money is non-refundable to buyers, so it's all up front, and it holds a whole lot of weight. So in this market, we talk about multiple offers here and there. If this money's non-refundable, let's say we back out for any reason at all, we're not going to get that due diligence back.
Right.
Yeah.
And what sellers look for and what sellers want are huge down payments. James, you had one. Would you have $20,000 due diligence payment?
I did. Yeah, I wrote an offer at above asking price, like we talked last week, and then $20,000 due diligence for a 7-day period.
Yeah.
Can
7 days.
Can I ask you this, James?
Yes, sir.
Did you go through the house with them and look at, some of the trouble spots?
Yes.
Look in crawl spaces. Look for those areas that we should be versed in.
Yes. In this house, it had a full basement. It actually had a water leak and a water line. I called the agent before we wrote an offer, said, hey, do you guys know there's a water drip in here? It's leaking in the floor. They said, yeah, we already have a plumber on the way. Me and the husband were in the crawl space of the house because that's a lot of money, and I don't want somebody to risk $20,000 that they can't get back if something happens that I could have, helped them in. So, but yeah, and then we had one last week on a listing that was $10,000.
Yeah, one of our listings.
Yeah.
So, Mitch, have you seen the trends? I was actually talking about that with an offer yesterday. I try to stay up on the trends.
Yeah.
Because February was not like March, and March is not like now.
I had a lender. I've got a buddy of mine. His girlfriend's a lender, and we use her, Amy. Amy was at the house the other day, and we were just talking about the market and how it's ever changing. What you're talking about. We started talking about appraisers. Well, the problem is some appraisers, when they come in to appraise these homes, they're not where the market is today.
Yeah.
They're where the market was last year or 6 months ago. The problem is this market's ever changing. Like you said, it's different today than it was in February.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I have a question.
Due diligence. Sorry.
That due diligence money, it's a security deposit like you described, kind of, right?
Yes.
But it does not go towards the actual final payment of the house. It does?
It does.
Okay.
It does. You get credit for it at closing. So here's the thing about due diligence. This is how I explain it. It's a security deposit for us to come in, buy a certain amount of time, probably 15 to 20 days if we can, 25 if we can. And it's non-refundable if you back out, but you get credit for it when we close. So it goes towards your down payment. Or if you get 100% financing, like a USDA loan, or you're getting down payment assistance, they'll write you a check back to you at closing for this.
Or you can apply it to closing costs if you have to pay your closing costs.
Yeah, state employees, credit union, they'll write you a check back for it. And you get credit for it. But, it buys us time.
So the only way you actually lose it, technically, is if you decide to back out after you've given the due diligence money. But it is something that will go towards your final payment towards your house.
It's not just going up in smoke and not getting it back. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Within that 15 days, like if you write one for 15 or 20 days and you find something detrimental with a house that nobody saw, nobody knew, and you walk away, that's the only time you're going to lose it.
And let's back up for a minute. So let's just say I'm putting $2,000 down for due diligence. Now, this is the first thing that goes in offer. Let's say we're looking at a $150,000 house. $2,000 due diligence is a pretty good payment. Maybe not where it needs to be to today.
Yeah. You're looking at
usually
probably
1%.
1.5 to 2 now.
Yeah.
I mean, it keeps going up.
Yeah. So let's just say we put $2,000 in due diligence. Okay. And I'm asking for 20 days of due diligence period. Okay. Now, next week, we'll talk about something else. What happens after that due diligence period ends? But let's just say due diligence ends 20 days. What do we have to do in those 20 days? James, how you like that? Switch it up.
I love it,
Mr. Facilitator.
We have to get our home inspection team out there, get our home inspection done. Gives us plenty of time. Get the pest inspection out there if you want a radon test. Also, it gives us time to have the appraiser come out there and give us an appraisal on the house value, so we're not in a mess. If you wait, let's just say hypothetically, you write it for 10 days, it takes 3 weeks for the appraiser to get out there, and the house doesn't appraise, then you could be in a situation.
Yeah.
So it gives you time for all your inspections, for the bank to send the appraiser, for everybody to do their work up to the point where we know everybody's in a good position.
And keep in mind, we've paid for a period here. We've paid a time period.
Yeah.
Okay, so during that time, we have home inspections. TJ, can I give them a little rundown on home inspections?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome.
Yes,
I think everybody needs one.
I think so too.
Right.
I recommend it because in North Carolina, it's a buyer beware state. So
exactly.
technically, you don't have to have one.
So
home inspection, they come in, they look at every part of the home.
Yep. Every part.
Everything. And they go through and take pictures, and they'll send all that back to you. That's where we sit down and we have a conversation. That conversation will consist of recommendations of items that we need to be looked at further, where we can get either a general contractor or like a structural expert, something like that. So with that, where was I going with this?
Yeah, we're doing home inspection.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we're
Yeah.
looking home inspection, trying to find everything we can out about a house. Now, James, tell me. So during this home inspection, a lot of people don't understand that every home inspection looks terrible, right?
It does. They're all going to be 25, 30 pages. They're going to
Good point.
nitpick everything.
And they should.
If you have a concrete driveway that has a few cracks in it, which around here I'd say 99% of all of them have a crack in it, you're going to have photos of that.
Yep.
You're going to have photos, hey, this outlet in the bathroom doesn't trip. It's a GFCI, but hey, it doesn't work properly.
Yeah.
Or hey, you might be missing a shingle or two on the roof.
So I've been a part of around 700 homes sales in almost 4.5 years. Every one looks almost the same to me now.
Yeah.
Because the toilets they're loose in every stinking home in North Carolina.
Almost,
Okay, the toilet is loose in every home, guys.
Be
Tighten
ready.
the toilets.
Yeah.
No.
Go home, check your toilet, tighten it down.
Tighten the bolts.
Whenever we start talking to our folks about what we should be looking for, what are the major things that we need to be paying attention to, Mitch?
Also, toilets are loose. There's no anti-clips on any stoves in North Carolina. Not
Kids,
one.
they're all going to
kids
flip.
are-
If the kids are hanging on the front of it, tell them no. And if they don't listen, chances are it's going to
gonna
fall
flip
on them.
over.
Yeah.
But everyone has got the same stuff on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Everyone. So what was your question?
What are the
You did it too.
what are the main things
Spaced
that
out
we're
for a
looking for?
second.
Okay, so it's going to be nitpicky. And here's why. Because we hire a home inspection team to come in. They're going to charge us $500 to $600, $700, whatever it is. Okay. A lot of times, and we'll deal with this later on with closing costs. Home inspections are covering closing costs, but they can't hand us a blank piece of paper after, we
Give them all that cash.
give them all that cash and say, hey, you're good to go. We've got brand new construction homes that's passed county guidelines, passed all inspections, and they got 40-page reports.
Yeah,
exactly.
But so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get to a point where we can get to a DDR.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think what TJ was asking is, what are we really looking for? What do we warn our people about? It's not the nitpicky things about clip on the stove. It could be an electrical problem.
Yep.
Is there a roof leak? Is there a structural problem that's going to have a problem with the integrity of the house? That's what we're really looking for.
Trust me, guys, it's real early.
That's
We're
where I
real
was
tired.
going.
Yeah, that's where he asked
And
me.
you skipped it.
I skipped it.
I answered it for you.
So, hey,
No problem.
for lack of a better term, we're looking for structural and safety issues.
Yeah.
Anything that affects the structure of the home, anything that affects the safety, electrical, go to the crawl space when you got mold. By the way, every house in North Carolina, most of them going to have mold.
Welcome to NC, baby.
Yep, just the way the weather is here. But, hey, we need to get cleaned up. We need to make sure our vapor barrier's down, make sure that crawl space is good. We want to make sure that, there's no electrical
You don't want
hanging,
9 wires
no
into
dangerous
one
stuff. Yeah.
9 wires into one breaker.
And one more thing. We had a house go under contract, and it was just clean. Like, it was one of the nicest homes. It's been well kept. And we didn't get an inspection on it, which is fine. You can choose to do that if you feel comfortable. But I always recommend at least getting a pest inspection. So we go in this house, they go down the crawl space. Luckily, there are termites.
Yeah.
But they're making their way up. They're not quite there yet. They're on the brick and cinder blocks of this home. And we had to get it, we're getting it remediated and everything. So I highly recommend a $60 to $70 pest inspection.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
Well worth it.
For sure.
Yeah. And it's just something simple that they check it off and say, hey,
So-
everything's good, or it comes back and we get it taken care of.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, so we have the home inspection. Not required in North Carolina. Not required by most banks. What is required by most banks, if you're getting a loan, is that pest inspection. What is a pest inspection, James? Go.
Well, just like touching on what he said, they're going to get under the house. They're going to get in the crawl space. They're going to look for any kind of rodents, really, any kind of termites, any kind of wood destroying insects. And if you find evidence of that, of course, we're going to get it taken care of for you. And then while they're in the crawl space, a lot of them will make a note, even if you're not having the home inspection, like he said. Hey, there could be some stuff growing on the wood that's not a termite. It could be fungus or something.
Yeah. So after the home
stuff.
and after the pest, then we have an opportunity, because keep in mind, due diligence, we paid a fee for a time block, right? So we're time blocking from 20 days. So we've got our home, we've got our pest. Now we can go to the sellers and ask for repairs. And what's that called?
That's called a due diligence request.
Exactly.
So we can actually go to the seller, ask them to fix some things. We always try to tell our people, let's stick to structural and safety and anything that you feel important that you would like to see fixed before you pay and before you make the most expensive purchase of your life.
Yeah, and many times they'll come back and say, look, we'll give you $1,000 in closing in lieu of repairs.
Yeah.
So that's money that they'll give over. They'll take off of the purchase, and it allows you to use that money after the fact to get those repairs done.
Yeah,
exactly. Or we can fill out the DDR and say, hey, the guy found he found 2 wires that were in one breaker. I don't like that. Can you fix it?
Yep.
Hey, we found 2 shingles that were blown off. Can we have a roofer come over here and fix it? Or we found a crack in the basement, and we want to make sure that the integrity of our house is good. So then we hire a structural engineer.
Yep.
And they come and because they're the experts. I can't tell you if the crack is bad or not.
Yeah.
So.
And if things are backed up, you can always extend that due diligence time.
Yep.
Hopefully with an agreement with the seller.
Yeah.
It may take a little bit more due diligence money up front, but you can always get it extended most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. All right.
Cool.
I think that covers due diligence.
I think we nailed that.
Due diligence is a very, very, very hard subject, and
It is.
you can dive really deep into it. But keep in mind, guys, even though we ask for repairs in North Carolina, we are a buyer beware state, like TJ said, state, and sellers do not have to do any repairs.
Yeah.
So anything they give us is just being grace. But we're so vexed in negotiations that most of the time we can get whatever you want fixed.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap us up. Mitch, good job today. James,
Thank you, TJ.
Mr. Facilitator. Yeah. So that was the TMG Podcast Guide to Homeownership Part 6 on due diligence.
Yeah.
I want to thank Mandy and Second and Main and Mr. Johnson Co. and Johnson Co. Photography for always doing a great job for us and allowing us to be in this venue.
Yeah.
And we will get to Part 7 next time, which is
Earnest money and closing cost.
boom. Boom. All right, guys. Appreciate you stopping in.
Later,
We'll
Gator.
see you next week.